France has recorded its hottest day ever as a heatwave lingers over much.
In France, the hottest day in recorded history. And it's not stopping there, it's moving. Right now, Europe is trapped under a heat dome that's already killing people, and the worst is still to come. I want to show you a live look at Paris. France and many other parts of Europe are dealing with a very bad heat wave. Dangerously high temperatures have been hitting most of Europe. Again, this is a live look at France right now. On Tuesday, France had its hottest day ever recorded, with parts of the country reaching 111 degrees Fahrenheit. On Wednesday, London also had its hottest June temperature ever, going over 96 degrees Fahrenheit. We talked to some people in London about how they are handling this heat. It is really hot, but a swimming pool would be nice. It is very hot, but it is manageable. I mean, we have to drink a lot of water, but I think it is okay. Yeah, for a city tour, just stay in the shade and keep moving and drink a lot of water. I have friends in Paris and I was asking them if there is anywhere to swim and cool off. My friend who lives there said there is no way she is going to swim in the river because it is so dirty. But it is hot, so I am going to try it anyway. Last night, I saw friends jumping off a bridge on Instagram. So I asked her where she was, and today we decided we need to cool off before tonight when we are going to be dancing. Because of this heat wave in Europe, France has put its emergency services on high alert. They have also limited alcohol drinking and cancelled some sports events. The government also started watching the water supply more carefully and closed hundreds of schools. In a country where air conditioning is not common, the government is especially worried about older people and people who live on the streets. As people are desperately trying to cool down, French officials say that at least 40 people have already drowned in France this past week. Most of them were younger people who were swimming in rivers and canals. Meanwhile, Spain, Italy, and Germany are also feeling this heat. For more on this dangerous heat wave hitting Europe and how long it might last, let us bring in meteorologist Andrew Marowitz. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Andrew. Thank you. It is a pleasure to be here. So, this is a pretty unusual heat wave hitting Europe right now. Can you explain this heat dome system they are dealing with and why it is happening? Well, basically what we are dealing with is a huge area of high air pressure that has built up over Europe. The reason why this is more extreme than what we usually see is because there is also a low-pressure system to the west. Together, they create a weather pattern called an omega block. Normally, weather systems stay over an area for a day or two and then move east. But the problem is this high-pressure system is stuck. It is not moving. So what you are seeing is a constant flow of very hot and dry air coming in from the Sahara Desert and moving north, basically covering all of Europe. We have already seen temperature records broken all across Europe. The worst of it right now has been in Western Europe, mostly in southern England and France. A place like Bordeaux, for example, reached a high of 44 degrees Celsius, which is about 112 degrees Fahrenheit. And to put things in perspective, this is not just dry heat either. It also comes with humidity, with dew points around 22 to 23 degrees Celsius, which is above 70 degrees Fahrenheit. I would compare this to the hottest summer days you would normally see in the southern United States, somewhere like Texas. And this is not a place that, even though it has seen heat waves before, is used to heat waves this strong. And that is what I was going to ask you. How does this compare to summers in the past? You mentioned that records have already been broken in France and England. Is this something that Europeans living in those areas have experienced before, or is this something new? Well, we have seen a number of heat waves in recent years. 2003, for example, was a very bad one that caused more than 15,000 deaths in Europe. So heat waves are not new. But the problem is how often they happen and how strong they are. We are seeing extreme events becoming very common in a place that does not really have the systems in place to deal with them. Even though we have seen heat before, when you are breaking many daily, monthly, and all-time records, that tells you this is a more serious heat wave than we usually see. So this week has been very hard for people. When can we expect some relief for the parts of Europe that are being hit hardest by this heat dome? Well, the mixed news is that this heat dome is right now sitting over the UK and France, and we will see it slowly move east over time. So by about early next week, Sunday or Monday, I do think temperatures will go back to normal in places like England and France. But on the other hand, we will see that extreme record-breaking heat move east. So places like Germany, Poland, Austria, Italy, and the Czech Republic, a lot of Central and Eastern Europe, are going to be hit next and will probably see temperatures similar to what we have already seen. That is likely to continue through the weekend and into next week as well. And after that, the heat dome will mainly be in Eastern Europe. But then it looks like there may be a second wave of heat building up in Spain and Portugal. At that point, it is a little uncertain what it will do or if it will move inland. But either way, the next area to watch after this one will be parts of Spain and Portugal. And Andrew, according to the World Meteorological Organization, Europe is warming more than twice as fast as the global average. What does all of this tell us about climate change, and why is Europe being hit especially hard? Well, I think the science is very clear that climate change is very real. We have seen temperatures rise over a long period of time in almost every part of the world. But in the last several decades, the fastest warming has happened in areas that are far north on the map. The reason Europe is more affected than other parts of the world is simply because of where it is located. If you look at a map compared to the United States, Europe is much farther north. So it is more directly affected by weather patterns in the Arctic. And because we are seeing temperatures in the Arctic warm up faster, which is causing ice to melt, more sunlight is being absorbed instead of bounced back. That makes things even warmer. I will also say that climate change did not create this heat dome. That is just how the atmosphere works and has always worked. But what climate change is doing is making events like this more likely to happen and making them stronger than they would have been before. Heat waves have always existed. It is just that with climate change, they are very likely getting more extreme and happening more often.